Got confused, huh?
There we go.
Aha. Can you also see our screen now? Those of you at home on Zoom?
I can see it.
I can see it.
Thank you.
What are we supposed to see?
We're supposed to be seeing the family history guide on the left-hand side of the screen and family search on the right-hand side of the screen.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Ask if they can see you.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, I think we're in good shape. Thank you, President Ives, you're a miracle worker. Without him. Well, welcome, brothers and sisters. It's very nice to have you joining us tonight for our consultant training. For some of you, you're returning consultants, and just get that a little better. And for some, you're brand new. We don't have anyone at the center, so I'm glad that you're joining us at home. So, oh yes, sorry, I was just reminded that we do have Brother Ives, President Castleton, and Brother Eric here. Our technical crew and our director. Yes, they are someone. Okay, I do welcome you to this training, brothers and sisters, and I intentionally use those terms because President Eyring reminds us that it's not just a friendly greeting or a term of endearment. They are an expression of an eternal truth. We are each part of God's eternal family, and as consultants, we are called to help gather his children. So I just wanted to report a little bit on what's happening at the center. It's been a great week so far, and it's been a joy to see our returning consultants and our new consultant friends. So thank you so much for being here on your shift. And it's been a little bit slow, but we sort of anticipated that because people are still learning that the center is open now, and it will take a little time for people to feel comfortable coming back. So I do appreciate you coming, and I encourage you to take advantage of the time that you're here to keep learning and to invite other people to come and share that time with you while you're here. Now, our objective for these next 4 training sessions is not to have you completely trained in 4 weeks. It will be absolutely impossible to do that. It's a very ambitious schedule, actually. But don't get discouraged if you don't learn everything tonight. I just want to remind you that we all start at the same place, and that is at the beginning. And none of us just started out being a family historian. We all had to learn, and we continue to learn. Every time I come, I learn something new. So tonight I want to show you briefly some of these tools that we have in Family Search using the Family History Guide. And I told the Bobs, Bob Ives and Bob Taylor, that I would try to say everything I could about the Family History Guide because it's such an excellent tool. I can't say it enough, honestly. It's just such a great tool. So we are going to, in the next 4 weeks, we're going to do 2 weeks of Project 1, and that's Family Search, Family Tree. On, let's see, week 3, it will be Family Search, let's see, Family History Guide project number 2, which is memories, and then project number 5, which will be indexing. But don't stop there because there's also projects 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8, and they are also very incredibly informative. So. Is that me? We're just working out the kinks, folks. Just be patient with us. Okay, so tonight we're going to, in summary, we're going to learn to do sign-in and navigation viewing details, children and spouses, find recents, alternate views, and change information and add ancestors. So let's just launch right in. Okay, here we are on the Family History Guide. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, here we are on the Family History Guide. Up here I'm going to maximize my window for just a moment so I can show you here on the Family History Guide what I'm doing. So up here in the top left-hand corner is Family Search, and I'm going to go to Family Tree. That is project number 1. It's most helpful when you are learning and also when you're sitting beside a patron and you're consulting to have a split screen. Right in the beginning of the Family History Guide, the first thing they teach you is how to split your screen. So that is right here. You click on there and it's going to give you step-by-step instructions on how to split your screen. So I'm not going to go through that tonight, but I want you to know where you can find that. Okay, this is going to be quite elementary, so I hope it will be informative and maybe a bit of a review for some of us. We're going to go right to signing in. If a patron does not have an account, we're going to go up here to the corner. I'm going to maximize my Family Search window for a moment so you can see this. This is create an account. Most of you have done this because you have created your own account. But if you have a patron come in, you're going to want to take them to this page. You're going to fill in this dialog box. If they're a member of the church, then they'll use their record number, which they can find on their member tools. And then you'll continue, and it's very intuitive, so I don't think it will be difficult for you to help someone do that. If they are not a member of the church, it's also very intuitive and you'll be able to help them do that. So that is how you create an account right up here in the corner. Of course, if you already have an account, you're going to sign in, and I'm going to do that right now so we can continue working in the Family History Guide. Okay, hope I got that right. Oh, I did, great. Okay, so let's go back to our double window, and we're going to start working right from the Family History Guide here. While we're here, if someone is signing in and they have forgotten their password or their username, which I will tell you happens quite a bit when you have patrons come into the center, they haven't written them down or they've forgotten, there is a way to retrieve those. It's very similar to other sites that you may have lost your password or username. It will send it to you either via email or a text number. So again, here on the Family History Guide, you'll find how to retrieve a forgotten name and password. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit now about how we view the details on our family page. I'm going to maximize my Family Search again. I'm going to go up here to the top left-hand corner under Family Tree. I will tap on that, and this button right here, Tree, will take me right to my tree since I'm the one that's signed in. Okay, this is my family tree. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the buttons that live here on this home page. We have here the home button. If you tap on the home button, it's going to put you right in the middle of the page. So if you've moved it around a bit and you're just kind of around and you want to go back to the home person, just hit that home button. You can also recenter it, which does basically the same thing. You can also make it a full screen, which eliminates all of this. And if you want to bring those options back, you just hit full screen again, and then you will find the full screen. This, of course, is the zoom buttons. The addition button will be making it larger, and this minus button will make it smaller. And you can make it quite small, but that becomes hard to read. So anyway, that is there. Okay. Now let's talk just a little bit about expanding and contracting these family lines. These buttons to the right of the person's summary box in the pedigree chart will take you beyond that generation. So this is my grandfather, and it's going to show his paternal and maternal lines. And of course, you can just keep going back. I have a very full tree, so I could probably go back for just a little while. But then if you're done looking at this one, you just hit this arrow again and it will contract it. And the same thing here with my other grandfather. To expand it, you just hit this arrow. And then if you want to contract it, you just hit it again and it will bring it back. Okay. Let's talk a bit about this options button up here in the right-hand corner. It's got a drop-down caret, and here you can decide what you want to have appear on your screen when you bring up your landscape pedigree chart. If you want to show your temple ordinances, record hints, research, data problems, portraits, and marriages. I have them all checked, but I will show you what it looks like. Well, I don't have that much on here because, 2020, you've got to do a lot of family history work. But you'll be able to see it with portraits. It will take those portraits off and it will take the marriages off. So it becomes very concise and you can see more on your screen. The bottom one, of course, is to invert the colors. It gives you a darker background and black summary cards here. I prefer the lighter colors, and I like to see some of these other things too. So I'll just put those back on, the marriages and the portraits. Okay. If you want to look at the spouses on my grandfather, Langley Eugene Beck, he was married a second time after the death of my grandmother, Verda. So if you do this drop down, it will show the second spouse to my grandfather. Now, if you want to change the preferred spouse on here, you would go to his person page. And you would come down here, and here you would put the preferred spouse is that second one, and then it would appear that way in the tree. But since Verda is my biological, that's how I prefer to see my tree. Okay, let's go back to the family history guide. I hope that this, I know this is going to feel a little bit like the fire hose and the whole load of hay, but what I want to show you is when you do have questions about these things, if you have forgotten how to change this option button up here, just come into the family history guide. It's going to teach you how to expand and contract your lines, how to customize your family tree, what kinds of things you want to see when you pull up your pedigree chart. It has videos, it has articles, and what I'll tell you about the articles are they're very short articles. They're not going to be very long. They don't take very much time to read, so they're very, very helpful. Okay, and then on your own, I would recommend that you come and do these choices E and F, optional if your family tree is very small, and then work on your family search homepage. That's choice G. So I'll just recommend that you work on those yourself. We're going to move on to viewing details in our family tree. Okay, now when we come back here to my family tree, I'll make this just a bit smaller so you can see the pedigree chart a little better. I'm going to go into my grandfather, Langley Eugene Beck, and I want to see a little bit more about Langley Eugene Beck. So I'm going to tap on this, on his name, and this is called a summary card. What comes up is this summary card, and you'll see a little bit more of his information. We have his birth date and his birthplace, his death date and his death place, how many sources and memories, and who's having a discussion, or if there's somebody collaborating with you. Now, if you want to go to his person page, this is called a summary card. If you want to go to his person page, you could either do it by tapping on his name. And generally in Family Search, if you see a blue link, a blue highlighted words, it's going to take you somewhere. It's going to be a link for you to go to. So you can either get to him through this, or you can go down to the bottom, and we're going to see his person page by tapping on this. Also, you will be able to see his tree. It will put him in the first person. If you tap the tree here, I'll just show you that while we're here. It will put him in the first position right here. Let's put him in the home position. Nope, that's me, sorry. I'm gonna go back to Langley. We're gonna view his tree. I think that's the recentered one. There we go. The home takes you back to the home person, which would be me. Okay, let's see. So let's go to his person page now. And all of this is going to be in your family history guide here, open person page. I'm going to maximize this window one more time. And I'm going to tap on Langley. He went by Gene. We called him Grandpa Gene, so I'll call him Grandpa Gene. On the person page, you are going to be able to see his details up here in the left-hand corner, right under his name are the details. And it's going to show you all his vital information, other information. I'm not going to go into that quite yet because we're going to get there. Also here, you're going to be able to view his tree. And I will view my relationship on this page. I'll tap that and you can see that he indeed is my grandfather through my dad. And also, I don't know if you've noticed up here in the corner of this summary card of your relationship, it will give you your relationship. So if it's a fifth cousin once removed, it's going to tell you right under their name what their relationship is to you. So I think that's a pretty handy little piece of information. Okay. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm getting all the information in here. Okay, another way to view someone in the first person is to go, or someone in that first position on your tree, is you go to recents. It's right here on this banner right here. If I wanted to go see my father-in-law and I want to see him in that primary position as the first person in the tree, you go to this button right here, which looks like a pedigree chart, and you tap on that, and that will bring up his tree and put him in that first person position. All right. Let's talk a little bit about printing your pedigree chart. Up here in the options menu, if you click the menu here, down at the very bottom, it has a print button, and it's going to print. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Let's try this again. Tree. It should print the pedigree chart. No, not the pedigree chart. Hang on a second.
What kind of a chart were you looking for?
The pedigree chart, not the group sheet, but the pedigree chart.
It said pedigree chart at the top of it.
But it, oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I was looking at the family group sheet earlier today. You're right. This is the pedigree chart. That is exactly where we wanted to go. You see, we all keep learning. So yes, this is his pedigree chart. It's a 4-generation pedigree chart. So that's how you get there. And I went there. Look at me. I went exactly where I wanted to go. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about doing a family group sheet. That's the next thing. Let's click on my father-in-law. You do a family group sheet from his person page. So you're going to open this person page again. And you're going to scroll down a little bit here on the right-hand side. You've got this print menu box right here. You can print the pedigree, the portrait pedigree, a fan chart, or your family. Now, yesterday we had a gentleman call and he wanted to be sealed to his deceased parents. And so the temple asked if he could bring one of these charts. And so we helped him print this family group sheet to take with him to the temple so the temple could make the arrangement to do the sealing to his parents. So his parents would have been in this first position, and then he would have been listed as one of these children. So this is where you will print a family group sheet. Okay, let's go back to our family history guide. All right, I think that's everything in view details. Oh no, one more thing. Good thing I make notes so I don't forget. I do want to show you the timeline. This is a really fun feature. And I was sitting with someone this week and they were trying to tell me about a specific event in their family member's life, and they couldn't remember exactly where to find it. And I said, well, let's try to find it on the timeline because it's a very nice summary of everything that happened in their lives, including historic events. Now you can take those out if you want to. You can, it's the same with your options button. You can take any of these pieces of information out and it will eliminate them from your timeline, or you can add them and keep them in there. The other really great thing about this is the map. You can turn the map off and all you'll have are the events, or you can turn the map on. Now, my father-in-law immigrated from Norway after becoming a member of the church. So it's going to show that he has a few sources in Norway. You can show the route down here at the bottom of the screen, and it will show the route that he took during his lifetime. So that's also a really fun feature. All right.
How did you get the route to come up?
Okay, it's just right down at the bottom of the map here.
Oh, route. Okay, right there.
Show route.
Thank you.
You bet. Happy to help. Thanks. If you have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, I'm going to go back to my split screen and we are going to move on to children and spouses. And this is goal number 3 in Project One of Family Tree. Okay, let's go back to my tree again. And I'm going to put myself back in the first position here. All right. So let's go back to my grandfather, Grandpa Gene. And we can view children for a selected couple. I've got my biological grandmother, Verda, in that preferred position again. So when I tap on children, it's going to have the children that they had together. Of course, my grandfather's second marriage did not have children together because it was much later in life. But if that were the case and they had children, if his second marriage had produced children, you would be able to see that if you had selected that as a preferred marriage. So this is the way we see the children from the pedigree chart. Also, I think I showed you this already, the preferred spouses. They had, or not preferred, but any other spouses that he may have had is just this from this drop down.
Ask a question.
Yes, ma'am, please.
When you drop down, and like in the case of my father, he had a second marriage after my mother died. She had children with somebody else. So that really shouldn't show up on the drop down, right? I'd have to change her husband as well.
Yes, yeah, because those children would have been to that first marriage or to her first marriage. Yes, that's correct. Unless, yeah, that's correct. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm just looking at my notes so I don't miss anything. Okay, we explored family members and alternate parents if applicable. Okay, the other way that you can see a family, besides just seeing it here with this drop down, go back to my grandfather again. We open his person page. I'm going to maximize this window one more time. I'm going to go back to his details, which is up here in the left-hand corner under his name. You can view his family as you scroll down on the page. You can hide the family members by clicking on this triangle and it will close the family members. I'm not sure why you would want to do that, but that's a feature. And then here we have my grandfather's family. It will show his spouse, it will show his children, it shows his second spouse, and it shows his parents and his siblings. So this is what you will see on his detail page.
I looked down and to write something right when you said if you scroll down, you can see such and such details. What was that you were talking about?
Yeah, so when you're on the person's page and you've clicked on the details, it's going to open up all of his vital information. And then as you scroll down, it will show his family members. And what I was saying is that you can collapse this section by just hitting this arrow here, this triangle, and then you can open it up again and it will show his family. So this is his first wife and my dad's siblings, my grandfather's parents and their siblings. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Okay, let's go back to our split screen. I think we've covered everything under goal 3. We're going to go ahead and move on to goal number 4. I just want to make sure I'm doing good on time too. All right. So we are going to talk a little bit now about our find menu and recents. So let's go back to my tree again. I'm going to maximize this window one more time. Up here on this top banner where it says overview, tree, person, recents, and find. The find button on this banner is going to be people who are already added to the tree. The search button up here is going to allow you to search all kinds of records and find people who may not be in the tree yet. But the find is going to only give you people who have been added to the tree. So let's go ahead and tap on find. It's going to bring up a dialog box for you to fill out and fill in as much information as you can about the person that you are trying to find. Now, I did read, see, I want to just add this. How do we find information on people that we want to look for? There's you know what, I'm going to wait until we go to goal 7 for that. Excuse me. Okay. You can find people by their names. You can make sure that you add their sex if you know that, a birthplace or a birth year, anything that you can that would help you find that person. Often I find it's helpful to add either the spouse's first name or a last name, or if you know a first or last name of the parents, that's helpful. You can also click this button. If you're pretty confident in finding your relative, click match all exactly. So then it's not going to bring up a whole bunch of close to, or maybe it's this person. So if I hit exact, it's going to bring up only exactly what you have put in there. Now, if you're not certain on a birthplace, you can unclick that, but it will keep everything else exact. So you can choose which ones you want to make exact or have them all match exactly. That was something I learned studying for this. That was kind of a neat thing. Okay, if you know.
If they had been entered by somebody who used their nickname or something like that, then it wouldn't necessarily pull it up, right? if you say exact.
If you say exact, yeah, it's only going to look for the exact words that you entered in this dialog box. So if you want to search them by a nickname, or, you know, maybe we called Aunt Margaret Aunt Maggie, and you put Margaret in here, it's not going to look for a Maggie. So you might want to deselect match all exactly. You can always go back and refine your search too. If it's too broad, then you can start refining it down and then find people that way too. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now in the family tree, I'll just go back here for just a minute. Every person who is added to the tree is identified by a number. So my father is identified by this number. Every person who is added, if I were to add my dad 5 more times, it would add 5 new numbers for him. Every time he's added, it's going to give him a number. So be careful when you're doing that, and we'll talk about that later on. But these numbers, if I hover over this number, it will copy the ID for me. And then I can go back to find, and I can select find by ID. I'll put that number in here. I'm going to paste that number in there that I copied. And then you can push find, and it will bring up that individual by ID number. Okay. So if you're in here and you want to reset this page, just click find again, and it will bring you back to the original page.
Could you just hover over that again? I was looking away so I can see how you hovered and copied it.
Oh, copy the ID, you bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to make sure that I didn't miss that.
You bet. So on this card right here, you can just
Right.
hover over that name.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then left click on it,
Left.
and it will give you the option to copy the ID.
Okay, great.
Click on it, and then it will say that you have copied it.
Perfect. And then I got the rest of it. Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much.
You bet. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's talk just a bit more about recents. We've been there a little bit tonight, but I wanted to tell you a bit more about recents. The recents box will bring up the last 50 people that you have looked at in your family tree. If you want to search for somebody, let's say that I have 50 people and I'm not really sure exactly how far down it is. I don't want to scroll. You can enter their name up here or their ID, and it will bring it right up. If you want to put, let's say, Louisa Elizabeth Cutler in the first person, that's where you would do that. If you want to eliminate some of the people from your 50s, your list of 50, you push edit, and it will bring up an option to eliminate some of these people. I will go ahead and see. This was a patron I was helping, so I'll just delete that, and then it removes it from my last 50 people that I've seen. Okay. I'm just showing you some of the tips and tricks. This isn't real in-depth yet, but I want you to know that you can have a more in-depth experience by going to some of these choices in the Family History Guide. Quickly find recently viewed people, which is what we just did. And it will give you a few more articles and sometimes a video that will help you get a little bit more detailed information. Okay, let's move on to goal number 5, alternate views. Okay, this is a fun one. I really like this one. It's all fun, but this is really fun. Up here in the left-hand corner of your page, of your pedigree page, I'm going to maximize this window one more time. And I will put myself back here and make it just a little bit bigger. Okay, under landscape, generally when you log into Search Family Tree, you'll get by default the landscape. But there are other ways of looking at your pedigree chart. One is the portrait. And it's going to show you anybody that you have portraits for in here. This is a nice way of, if you make it a little bit smaller, you can actually, let's see, let's put you up here. You can actually see it a lot easier going back than in the landscape. So you can build quite a pretty good sizable tree here in the portrait. And it's the same thing. If you want to collapse it, you just hit the down arrow. If you want to make it expand it, then you hit the up arrow. So this is a nice one. This is also a nice one to print if you wanted to print this one. I'll go ahead and pull out. Okay, that's the portrait. The next is the fan chart. We're getting a little feedback. Oh dear. I think we're okay now. The fan chart is a really fun one. I'll tell you one way I use the fan chart that I have found very helpful. I have a super full tree, so you're not going to see too many holes in mine, but one thing that I have done with my fan chart is I have printed it out like this. I've put my dad in the first person. I've also printed one with my mom in the first person. And then I just go through methodically and just make sure that all of these people have good sources, that their information is standardized, that there's no duplicates. It's just for me, it's been a really, really nice way of keeping track and not getting too lost in the rabbit holes it's very easy to get into. So if you want to methodically go through your tree and clean it up and make sure everything looks really good, I have found that this is a good way to do that. Just print a fan chart off and then just check it off as you get to each person. Another great, I'll go back to maybe 5 generations here, is birth countries. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but birth countries will show you where your family is from. So you can see that I've got quite a bit from the United States. I was just reading today or this week about my ancestors that were part of the Restoration, which was a thrill. And so you can see that these people were here when that was happening. So this is another great way of looking at your fan chart. Sources. If you don't have a lot of sources like me, this is why I like to help folks, because there's not too much to do in my tree sometimes. But you can see up here that there's less sources. It gets a little more difficult in these 1700s, but if you were to not have very many sources, it would show a white's background or a very light background. And then you would know to go in here and start looking for sources for some of these people. Now, this is one, the stories. This is one I could do a little better. And I was chatting with one of the consultants yesterday afternoon, and she's kind of getting to that stage of life where she doesn't feel like she can learn very much. She says, I know I'll never learn how to do a lot of research. I'm not very good indexing, but I love memories. And I counseled her to pull up her fan chart. And because she's a little bit older, she'll remember back more generations. And I counseled her to go to one of these people that have a white background that have no stories and go to their page. And I'll show you how you can do this. Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of ourselves, but go to their memory page, and down here at the bottom, you can create a story. And it's very easy. It just brings up a title for your story, and here you can start writing a story or a memory about this person. So it's never too late to be involved. There's ways that you can do family history. And I think for some of us, this might be the best way, is to add stories to our tree so these people are not forgotten. The same with photos. You can add photos, and then research helps. That will show you where you may have some suggestions to do. My tree's not a very good example. Okay, let's see. Let's make sure that we are getting to everything. What time is it? Okay, great. All right, let's go back to the split. It's not really all done, but it's just it just takes a little more effort. Okay, let's go to goal number 6, changing information. Okay, we can talk about updating vital information from the family history guide, and I will show you a little bit about how to do that, update other information and update marriage information. Let's go maximize this one more time. Go back to my landscape. Now, if we were to, let's go back to my Grandpa Gene again. We'll go back to his details, which is this up in the left-hand corner right under his name. Here we have the option to correct misinformation in his name, and that is what we're calling change information. So if this were the incorrect name, I would go to this edit button. Again, it's in blue, and it will show you that will take you to a link. So let's tap on edit. And here you would be able to change his name if it were incorrect. And then if you do change it, you would want to put a reason in here. You found it on a birth record, or you found it in his journal or in a family Bible, somewhere that feels like a good, solid source for you to make that change. You wouldn't want to just say, well, my Aunt Betty told me it was Langley Eugene. You want to have something where you can substantiate it so nobody can come back in and change it. So you can see it's that way on his marriage record and in the census and birth certificate. But this is how you would change it. Again, you just go to the name and edit. The same with editing the sex if that needed to change. Now let's talk just a little bit about standardizing. And I do have an example. I searched my tree and found an example for you. So let's go to the find, and I can show you how to find this person that I found in our tree. I'm going to find this individual by ID number. And L, S, 6D, G4S, G4S. Okay.
Is it true you can leave out the dashes and capitalization doesn't matter?
That is true. And I did it this way because I'm trying to teach. But you can just put all 7 in there without dashes or capitals or anything, and it will find it. Thank you. You can do that. Okay, so Caroline Johanna Olsdotter. We're going to go to her person page, and I'm going to show you that this birth date is not standardized. Now, what is standardizing? Standardizing is the way that all these records are imported into the church's computer. And when you standardize the dates and the places in your tree, it's going to go out and search in the computer. Those search engines are going to go start looking for other records that may be part of Caroline's history. So if I go in here and do edit, this is how I will change this information. So you can see that the church's standardized version is right here. It has the calendar icon next to it, and that's how you can tell it's the standardized version of it. And you can see here in my record, it is not standardized. So I will put my cursor in this box, in this dialog box, and tap in there. You're going to hit your space bar, and it will bring up this option of the standardized version. I'm going to click on that, and now it will be populated in this dialog box. The birthplace is also not standardized according to what the church's search engines look for. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put my cursor in that dialog box. I'm going to hit my space bar, and it's going to bring up the standardized version of this. I'm going to put this in there. And now you know that it's standardized because it has this little map icon on it. The reason I did this is I'm standardizing the date and place. Okay, and that's the reason why I have changed this information. Okay, and did someone have a question?
Yeah, Janet, it's Karen.
Yes.
When I standardize those Scandinavian records that have a farm name, like you just took the farm name out and put the standardized version, then down there in the comments, I always put the farm name back in case someone else is looking for it.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay, so I put Closter in there because that was, okay, so let's put that in there. All right, and then I can do that with the death. You'll know that it's not standardized because they do not capitalize the month. Even though the date, the month, and the year are in order, they don't capitalize that. So let's just as another example, let's go ahead and in here and standardize that. I hit my space bar, it will bring it up, and I'm going to add that. I'll do the same thing here and hit the space bar. I'll bring up Renaissance and put standardizing. No, not standardizing, standardizing date and place. And I will do as Karen suggested and put the farm name in there so that doesn't get lost. Okay, so there you go. All right, that's changing that information. Okay, if you want to see any other changes that have been made in your family, on this family individual, you can go here to the latest changes, and it's going to show you everything that has been changed on her page. You can see that I've changed the death date, but it was because it was standardized, the birth date and the birth was changed as well. We can show all. And that's going to bring up anything that has been changed on this individual. Okay.
Can you go back up into her details one more time?
Yeah, you bet.
I thought I saw a date that didn't have that little calendar. Under death.
Yeah, her death. The date doesn't come up with the calendar. You just recognize it because it has the day first, the month not capitalized. I mean, not all in caps, and then the year. And if you want to check that, just go to the edit button and it will bring it up in those dialog boxes. It's going to show that it is standardized. If it didn't come up with this icon, then you could standardize it. So if you want to double check.
You don't know till you look it up like that.
On the date, unfortunately, that's true. So if you want to check it and be thorough, then I would do that. Just go to the edit button there. Okay. Once in a while, you'll see these red exclamation points. That means that there's a data problem, and data problems can range all over the place. It can be a possible duplicate. A parent is born after a child's birth. There's all kinds of things, but that's what this red exclamation point is going to teach you that, or alert you to. Okay, I'm just going to finish up here with these last couple of things. And I think I'll have Christy do adding ancestors, because I think it makes more sense to do that when she's adding sources as well. And she's agreed to do that. So I'll just finish up with these last couple of hints on changing information okay, I've showed you data problems and the changes down here on this side. Now I want to also show you following. This button up here on following is going to show you any person in your tree that you are following. The people I am following, it's going to show you this. You can unfollow a person. The options to following a person is you can do it by all changes. And that's the following button. How to follow a person. Let's address that as well over here. Go to my Grandpa Gene again. If you want to follow an individual, they're up on the banner where his name is. You just click the star and that will allow you to follow. And that will add him to my following list. Okay. Let's see, and my contributions, that's another one that you should learn about. And then we will have talked about all of these up here. My contributions, this is going to show you all the things that you have added to family search, family tree. Here you can see that this is what we've just accomplished today, standardizing those dates and places. Private people, there's a thing called private space on family search, family tree. Those are for people who are living. The only people who can see anyone who is living is the person who has added it. So I've added my mom to my tree, though she's still alive. I had to add her so I could get to her deceased ancestors to continue to build my tree. Once she is deceased, we're going to have to merge all of those, which Christy will talk about next week. But this is what private space is. Anyone who is living cannot be seen by another individual who hasn't added them. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
If you're not sure, you don't know them well enough to know whether they've died yet or not, but they're pretty old. Is it hard if you go ahead and say they're dead just so you can search records and then you can change them back to living? Is that hard to do that change from dead to living?
You know what? If I were you, I would either go to this button right here. So this is another thing that I should teach you about on family search. This button up here in the corner is called the help button. Put your question in the help dialog box and read about it and do it the right way.
Oh, okay.
because I might be able to, I don't know if I have the complete answer to that. So rather than telling you, and we had this experience yesterday with the gentleman who wanted to be sealed to his deceased parents. I thought I had the answer, but I wasn't sure. So I went to this help center and I put the question in there and a very complete detailed answer came up. So I was able to help him accurately and give him the right information. So ask that question and come back and teach us. That would be great.
Okay, I was thinking too, now maybe everybody watching tonight already knows this, but one reason to follow somebody is if anybody goes in and adds anything or changes anything, you get an email about it. And that's really cool. It has brought up some things where I learned of, distant relatives that maybe had more information than I did. And we start talking back and forth, and it's really cool because it brings to light some people that are actually part of your tree that are alive.
Oh, that's a great point. Thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Oh, Joy. Was that you?
Jody.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Jody. Take
So
another question.
on private people, if there's someone you want to watch, how does that show up? Private people, is it people you're following? How do you add someone to that list?
Okay, let's go up to my, actually, I think that's a question I'm not sure. I wonder if it just populates it automatically, the people, because I have not added any of those private people to my list, actually.
So you actually have to change something on their record. Like I've got some in-laws of my, I've got some grandparents of my grandkids. I'm sure I didn't change anything on their information, but they show up that I can see.
That's because they're living. If they're living, they're going to go to that list.
Yes.
I know, but how did they get there?
I think it must automatically populate. If you add living people to your tree, it's going to automatically populate in there because I have not added any of those people to that following list.
Okay.
The only people that I have added, see people I
The privacy list.
are these, yes. But the private space, the private ones, I think automatically populated.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? If you have no other questions, I'm going to just close my part of this, and then I'm going to turn a few minutes over to President Castleton. I'd like you to meet our director if you haven't already, and give him a minute to say hi to you, and I'm sure he'll have a lovely message for us. I just wanted to say that we are the gatherers in our generation. President Eyring said, God knew he could trust you to accomplish this work in behalf of your ancestors. He has prepared the way through the fullness of all this technology that we have. So let us not ever forget that because it's heaven's work, we must have heaven's help. The use of technology and all the records available to us will require the Spirit to work with us. It doesn't just happen. There are so many times we'll come up against something and I won't know what to do. I've asked the questions, we've done the research, and still you might be a little stumped. And when I'm consulting with someone, I always like to begin with prayer because the Spirit is the one that helps us to make some of these hard decisions and leads us to places that we need to go. President Eyring said in April 2017, I promise you the inspired help that you seek and you need. So I want you to kind of hang your hat on that promise that he will be here with us to help us to learn the information, to learn from each other, and then to be able to help these patrons that come in. I just want to bear my testimony that I had this experience just a couple of weeks ago after we had arrived in North Carolina to visit my daughter. The next day we had made the decision to open the center and we had 2 weeks to do it. And I felt completely overwhelmed with the tasks that were at hand and being away from home. So I had my husband and my son-in-law give me a blessing. And I just want to tell you that it made all the difference. I felt the help that I needed. I remembered things to do that I felt like I would have forgotten. Things came together as they should. We have the help that we need. And I just want to tell you that we need to have the Spirit in this work to accomplish the work. So don't ever forget that prayer is a critical and essential part of this work. I do want to thank Sister Carol Jensen and Jeanette Hewlett for helping us train on the scanners, and also Diane Coles. And I also want to thank again President Ives for making this possible tonight. And I will turn the time over to President Castleton. Thank you all for coming tonight. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Oh, I guess the camera's over there.
Well, Janet, that was wonderful. It's so exciting to be back here in the center tonight. And, one of the great blessings of COVID was we've discovered Zoom. And tonight we are able to meet with many people, whether they're here or in other places. Our classes are that way. We can record them. And so we've learned a lot through this experience, and we're making the center more accessible to so many. Thank you. I'm just so excited. I was hoping to see your faces here tonight, your smiling faces, because I really missed that. And you are the face of the Family History Center. And the people that come here, they're greeted by you and you assist them. And I'm so grateful for all of you and for the work that you do, and the many hours that have been put in by Sister Helen and Sister Jensen and Brother Ives. There's so many that have worked to prepare the center to be ready and to prepare all the consultants. It's really exciting to see, and I want to reemphasize what Sister Helen said about the Spirit of the Lord and the Holy Ghost guiding and directing us, and the many miracles that occur. If you haven't been here for a while, you may have forgotten the big banner in room 101 that says miracles happen here, and they truly do. I thought about sometimes being overwhelmed. I remember when I was called to be a Temple and Family History consultant, it's been about 4 years ago. And at the time I had a testimony of it, but I didn't know anything. I really didn't know how to do family history research, and so many things I didn't know. And I was also called to serve as the director. And I felt so inadequate. And I still do. And I still am a neophyte. But I've learned so much in the last 4 years. What I found is anytime I attend a class like this, or I go on and work on the family history guide, or rootstick classes, or I read the blog articles in our the Granite FHC.com website, or I read what the church sends us all the time when you're a Temple and Family History consultant. Each time I read one of those, I pay attention to it, I find within a very short period of time, the Lord put someone in my path that I needed that information. And it's one of the great blessings of serving the shift up here at the Family History Center is you get an opportunity to share that information. And if someone's not here, you have that opportunity to work on it, learn something. So when they come in next week or the week after, that you may have that information. You've all heard the saying, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And with family history, it's one of those things that when we help people do it, it brings joy into their life immediately, but also long-term as they continue in that. And what a great blessing we have. You think about what really brings joy to us is when we can help other people. And so as you have that opportunity to serve and help and bless other people, it brings you joy and also brings joy to the lives of so many others. I don't know that I've ever seen anything that brings such great joy and builds relationships, both of those, the living and the dead, as family history and temple work. And I am so grateful to have that opportunity. I'm so grateful for each of you who helped me learn as we work together to teach this great, these many wonderful ideas and blessings that continually change every day. Even if you were called yesterday, there's some new stuff today. And we're continually learning that. And we help each other as we grow in this. Thank you so much. And are we going to have a closing prayer or? Okay, not on the broadcast. So we look forward to seeing you here and hope that you'll participate in the other sessions and let the other consultants know to participate too, so that we can all learn together. And thanks again, Sister Helen, for that wonderful presentation tonight.